be able to put in. But I would imagine doing between 3 to 4 a week. But I would imagine, I'd say the earlier of 3, I reckon, is more practical. But on top of that, having like an interview as well. And I've got like a few guests already lined up for that, which is cool. Everybody as well have been asking, like, because people have seen me around with Paul Robinson, the Proteus champion, of course. Everyone's been asking, when are you getting this guy on? We've got to have him on the podcast, you know, gold entertainment. And I am going to try to reach out to Paul. I tell you what, he's very local to me, and we do have good contact and stuff, but he's an absolute nightmare to try and get hold of, and he knows that as well. But I am going to try to do my best to get in touch with him and get him on the show, because I think that'd be really good, and I think we'd have a pretty entertaining show to get Robbo on, and you guys can interact, send questions, that kind of stuff. So that would be pretty cool, to be honest with you. I've got an email here from Gary Huddlestone. What do you think of? So yeah, Gary asks about my thoughts on doing those matches like the Boneyard match more frequently, and will WWE start doing it more because of like the feedback and reaction. My opinion is like, with these kind of things, less is more, and if you start doing too many of them, it'll get watered down very quickly. I think because of the situation we're in, with having no fans there, this kind of thing makes perfect sense. But if you had a crowd and then you played that on the screen, two things will happen. One, the paying customer that's there is gonna they're gonna be zoned out because they're in a crowd situation. They're not at home on their couch. They're in the crowd, and they're not going to be too amused about, you know, not seeing it in front of their own eyes, because they might as well just be at home as well. I know it's only one match, but if you've got two big names in it, that ain't going to cut it for me. So that's one problem. Secondly, you've got to remember, at the end of the day, wrestling is in the name, and you know, with Vince and everyone else maybe doesn't always like having that wrestling bit in the name. It is there, and thank God it is as well, because it's the only thing holding on to it. But you know, at the end of the day, wrestling in the ring should be the focal point. It's fine to do it, I think, with the Undertaker and gimmicks like that, but I think as soon as you start having like just random people show up in it, like, I don't know, putting Brock Lesnar in there with Daniel Bryan or something like that, is where it just get ridiculous. So I think doing these kind of matches is fine, makes perfect sense. But you know, the moment you start just going further afield, it'll be a nightmare. I want to thank as well, like, people have been like asking, they've been like, am I okay all the time with like what's going on and the isolation? Like, I just want to say now, like, to everybody that's been emailing, like, I'm perfectly fine. I'm okay, and believe me, like, I'm one of the fortunate people that get. I'm just self-isolating basically. I only go out when I really have to, and that's basically it. I'm fortunate enough where my job permits me, where I can literally just work from home, and that's it. I don't really have to worry about too much other stuff. But like, trust me, I'm fine. I feel for the people that are still, you know, pretty much out there. People within my, like, the organisation I'm in, like, obviously there's people on the floor that are going out into homes and goodness knows what else. Like, those are the people that you know, I feel for, and it's more of a struggle for me. This isn't a problem, and the role I was doing was like kind of a part-time gig anyway, because I have like kind of two jobs going on, and the other one is like falling into something else. So I'm perfectly fine. And you guys, you know, it's really nice that you you send me all those emails, but like honestly, don't worry too much. You'd be the first ones to know, because obviously I was on every day anyway. So no, I'm good. But yeah, thank you for all your concerns and stuff and well wishes, and I hope everyone else as well, whoever you are listening to this podcast, is keeping safe and taking the right measures and precautions. That's the main thing. Okay, let's move on then to some other things. We've got just trying to look for some news, because there was some stuff that came in that I'd got from a source, but I don't know, because various people will send me stuff, but I have to kind of sift through it a little bit, because sometimes like a couple of my sources, they get really excited and the excitement outweighs the actual fact of the actual thing they've told me. So I have to be very careful with what I filter out, because I don't always look like I don't want to make myself look a prat on these shows. Yeah, I don't think it's even worth mentioning this, to be honest. He'll hate me for it, but I don't think it's worth mentioning some of this stuff. Some news, by the way, about the 24/7 title. I know like a few people had emailed about what a joke it was and everything else, and are they going to probably do it again? Like, they probably will. They'll probably stick it in there tonight somewhere. Gronk and that'll do something stupid, but yeah, I totally dislike that title. I mean, it's so stupid. It's one of the worst things about it. I've got another email here. This is from Dean. You haven't put your surname, so I don't know. Just Dean from Aberdeen. Dean from Aberdeen. That's good. I like it. What did you sounded like you wasn't? So Dean writes, you sounded on the podcast earlier that you wasn't too happy with having the setup the way it was. What could they have done differently, do you think, if they'd have had more time? Do you know what? It's a tough one. It's WrestleMania. WrestleMania. My earlier guest that was on from 1310, Josh, he made a really good point, and he said about the fact that basically a lot of us wrestling fans, we watch all the old shows, and obviously I've done watch-alongs as well, as you guys know. Please check that out, wink wink. Yeah, of course, you look at all these magnificent crowds, WrestleMania 3, 93,000, 100,000, blah, blah, blah. And then you get to where we are now, and you're like, wow, even number one, at least started with something. It's a bit of pill to swallow, that one, for me, because if I'm honest, I was going to save this for the sort of ultimate review that I'm going to do on Tuesday, but I'll dive into it now, as I'm probably going to wrap this up very soon, unless I get a few more people come on, but I'll see what happens. But basically, my take of it, like I just want to sum this up towards the end here, is that this is how I feel about it. I think that WWE, and again, I'm talking halfway through WrestleMania here, so I don't know, because I've not seen the full thing, and so my opinion may change. So I want people to remember that when I make these statements. But if I'm honest, this is just my personal opinion on it. I think WWE should have postponed it or cancelled it, one of the two. Okay, and they probably would have been better, in my opinion, to let's put on a show, let's put on like a special show, but let's not call it WrestleMania. Let's call it, I don't know, whatever, Super Show, whatever you want to do. Call it something else, as a kind of dedication to what's going on now, like to keep people's minds off it. Like they've said, have a wrestling show, yes, do taping like they have done, absolutely, but don't call it WrestleMania for me. I just wouldn't have put the WrestleMania logo on this. That's just my personal take on it. And what would I have done with the matches that are already pre-made? I would have probably put 80% of them that were in locked feuds. That is, so like maybe that was like 8 or 9 matches from that point. I would have gone with having 80% of them, bar 2 matches, which would have been the 2 Royal Rumble winners, Charlotte Flair and Drew McIntyre. I would have made it, official that further down the line, because they won the Royal Rumble, they get that opportunity at WrestleMania, as stated. Now, if it isn't WrestleMania, then you move it to the next one, wherever that's going to be. We don't know, but it could be SummerSlam. I don't know, but I would have made an exception on those 2 matches only, and for everything else, I would have just shifted everything they'd already built to, so you're not wasting it, and I would have just had like a show of its own, which could have even had some sort of like gimmick of being a show without an audience, and it could have even been, maybe even when this is all done with the pandemic and stuff like that, this could be a show that could run exclusively on the network or something. I don't know. And they could have maybe done it like like Cyber Sunday used to be, or Taboo Tuesday, where it's like an interactive kind of thing where fans could have participated, because there's so many people sitting at home. This would have been a great opportunity to have done something like that. Now I know, like, obviously me saying all this is like, well, it's easy for me to say because I'm not there, and the stress they were under, you've got to take that into consideration. They were put on the spot to make a decision. They went with, let's do WrestleMania, and they stuck with it to their credit, which is fine. I mean, I'm sure this will always be remembered. Yes, I just think that calling it WrestleMania, just for me last night, as good a show as it was very, there was something extremely, I don't know what the right word would be, I'd have to think about this, but it just didn't sit well with me. Let's put it that way for now. I have to think of something better, but there was something not right, and it just felt like hearing everything, hearing the little echoes and stuff like that, and the comedy, like it just, to call that WrestleMania, where we're at now, I don't know, it just didn't really work for me. But if they'd have had any other show, if this would have been like Elimination Chamber or whatever, like one of the other shows, I would have put up with this, no problems. But the fact it was WrestleMania, I just can't get my head around it still. So I'm probably one of the few people that are like that, because I think most people are in the camp of positivity and stuff like that, which is great. But if I'm being really critical, I would say that for me, calling it WrestleMania is just, I'm not so sure. I'm really not. But it is what it is. It's going to go down in history. We've still got some good moments, absolutely. But I just, I just wish they'd have had a little bit longer thought process, and But again, easy to say in hindsight, isn't it? Okay, let's got a few extra things here got another email, a couple of emails actually saying about Braun Strowman. What do I think about it, really? I mean, here's the thing, Braun Strowman, people will remember when they were building him up for a long time. They were having him in all those squash matches, and by the end of it, they'd done a phenomenal job. And to be honest with you, right at the point of where he had, I think, a feud with Kane, and then he turned babyface, he was getting over. Like, he was an attraction badly. Like, I was there live for a couple of his matches, and you could tell. But as soon as they deliberately